please turn with me in the gray hymnal to number 465. 465 in the gray hymnal. Your part is in italics. The wisdom to survive. If we will have the wisdom to survive, to stand like slow-growing trees on a ruined place,
renewing, enriching it.
If we will make our seasons welcome here, asking not too much of earth or heaven,
and a long time after we are dead, the lives our lives prepare will live here.
Their houses strongly placed upon the valley sides,
Fields and gardens rich in the windows. The river will run clear, as we will never know it.
and over it birdsong like a canopy.
On the levels of the hills will be green meadows, stock bells in noon shade.
On the steeps where greed and ignorance cut down the old forest,
An old forest will stand, its rich leaf fall drifting on its roots.
the veins of forgotten springs will have opened. Families will be singing in the fields.
In their voices they will hear the music risen out of the ground.
They will take nothing from the ground, they will not return, whatever the grief at parting.
Memory, native to this valley, will spread over it like a grove, and memory will grow into legend, legend into song, and song into sacrament.
The abundance of this place, the songs of its people and its birds, will be health and wisdom and indwelling light.
This is no paradisal dream. Its hardship is its possibility.
Well, I've already laid out the big secret about mortality, haven't I? We're all going to die. And here's another open secret. Death is the #1 killer. I've read a lot of books and articles over the years about how our self-awareness leads us to confront the reality of mortality. How we think about mortality, knowing that we're going to die. To some, this knowledge is crippling, and we plod along grumbling, what's the use? And some of us ignore the reality of death, forging ahead as if we could live forever. Ah, the folly of youth. Some of us postpone it as long as possible, unfortunately losing quality of life as part of a difficult bargain. Some folks actually hope to eliminate death. I always thought this was a terrible idea for a couple of reasons. One, it's a great truth that the old must die to make way for the new people on our planet. And two, it reminds me of the Jorge Luis Borges stories, The Immortals, about a race of people who wanted to die but could not, suffering infinitely long lives, literally sleepwalking through life without meaning or purpose. They had seen it all, and they were totally jaded. Some of us, finding little meaning in this life, focus on an afterlife and try to find meaning there. Some of the world's major religions seem to promote this idea. I've always thought this was sad. Instead, I endorse the UU bumper sticker seen in our parking lot. I believe in life before death. Barbara Ehrenreich is a world-class curmudgeon who loves to write. Like all curmudgeons, she is both profoundly insightful and deeply annoying. In her latest book, Natural Causes, An Epidemic of Wellness, The Certainty of Dying and Killing Ourselves to Live Longer, she writes this: "You can think of death bitterly or with resignation as a tragic interruption of your life, and take every possible measure to postpone it. But I don't think UUs generally think or do that. Instead, we tend to follow the advice of Ehrenreich, as she says, or more realistically, can think of life as an interruption of an eternity of personal non-existence, and sees it as a brief opportunity to observe and interact with the living, ever-surprising world around us. This fits right in with the existentialist philosophy that I studied in college, an American spiritual movement with deep ties to Unitarian Universalism, as in Ralph Waldo Emerson. For years, I tried to reduce existentialist concepts to simple terms. Finally, I heard a straightforward definition of existentialism from one of my professors, who said, "Life is what you make of it." What deep meaning in so few words. The meaning of life comes from within. Existentialism is all about personal responsibility. It's all about how I choose to show up in the world. Wish I knew that for the exam. More than 30 years ago, I ran across another big idea, and what I mean by big idea is that it had the quality of instant truth. It didn't even pass through my brain, but went directly to the heart. I had just started my geology consulting practice, and I was reading all I could about how to become a successful consultant. Some things take time. The idea is this: bring who you are to what you do. Bring who you are to what you do. Obviously, this advice is not limited to the narrow world of geotechnical consulting. There's some general advice about life here. Show up. Show up as who you are. And if you don't know who you are, get a hold of some other people to help you figure that out. Where could you find these people? Dang if I know. Don't just eat the pie, but make the pie bigger than it was when you first showed up. All this has to do with legacy, doesn't it? Legacy being our response to the fact of mortality. This congregation in this church offers us a place to create a legacy. Each of us has a unique and personal response to the fact of our mortality. This is a place where we share who we are with each other. I see legacy all around me here. It's in me, for I am the legacy of my parents' love and care, and Debbie's. I am here in the pulpit because of the legacy of Unitarian Universalist founders who insisted on congregational polity and governance with or without a minister. It's in you for those same reasons, and for the legacy influence that you've had on me and others here. It's in this building, the legacy vision of a past congregation more than 40 years ago, and now a part of our vision as we continue to make the house our home. It's in these banners overhead, created and hung by us. It's written on the plaques at the ends of the church pews. It's the scarves worn by the choir, lovingly woven by friendly hands. It's in our hymnals, purchased and inscribed in years past, some even before we moved into this building. It's in our church endowment fund, started many years ago and now built to more than $90,000. I began this talk with a great truth about mortality. And there's another one about legacy. Several, in fact. You don't have to be wealthy to create a legacy. You don't have to be old to create a legacy. You don't have to die to create a legacy. But the question is, why leave one at all? The folks of our Church Legacy Society have discovered their why. These are people who have left bequests to the movement and or to this church. And we on the UUCO Endowment Committee have some ideas about our whys, those folks being me, Jeff Lensman, Tom Taylor, and Evelyn Burleson. But Tom Taylor can't be here this morning. He's traveling. But he has asked Evelyn to read a statement of why he has created a legacy.
Tom's words. I love the Unitarian Universalist Church of Ogden, otherwise known as this blessed community. The existence of the UUCO is one of the main reasons that Roxanne and I decided to retire here over 22 years ago. I've had many roles in support of this church, and I'm now on 2 committees, finance and endowment. I also enjoy organizing social activities for the fellow churchgoers. I was a UUer in Maryland for 20 years, and this is by far a warmer church. This church provides a liberal religious voice that is essential in Utah. It is important to me that our voice continue to be heard in northern Utah indefinitely. To that end, there is provision in my trust of a generous bequeath to this church upon my passing. My children are self-supporting, and it is very satisfying to me that I can help keep the chalice lit at UUCO. Additionally, I recently took advantage of the Wait Now Our Vision program. This program will match 10% of your bequest to the church, up to $10,000. That means they give us $10,000, which they will pay us in 2020. To qualify, one must make a bequest in your will or trust to the UUCO General Fund or to the UUCO Endowment Fund. Tom says I changed my bequest to the Endowment Fund rather than the General Fund this year, filled out a simple form for the Wake Now Our Vision program, and have received a reply saying it is all well. And then he ends with a plea to contact the UUCO. Last November, I greeted you with this little statement. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'd like to tell you about a great deal with a terrible name. Wait Now Our Vision Collaborative Campaign Legacy Challenge. And it is the UU congregation in Shelter Rock, New York, is offering a $5 million grant to incentivize new planned giving to our institutions such as theology school, as well as our own UUCO church here. So I want to say I have participated, as has Tom, and I ditto everything he says about this lovely church.
Thanks, Evelyn. There's someone who knows about legacy. Both Tom and Evelyn. So I have some good news, just to build a little on what Evelyn offered. Did you know that everyone here who can legally sign a paper has the potential to bring a minimum of $1,000 and up to $10,000 to this UUCO ministry? And the funds would be available to us by the year 2020. And that would be up to us as a congregation to decide how to use the money. There are no strings attached. You don't have to put up $1,000 or promise $1,000 of your assets in the future. You don't have to die. And we don't have to wait for you to die. And furthermore, we don't even want you to die. You just have to leave a bequest. And this is not some pyramid scheme. It is sponsored by the Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations and the Shelter Rock Unitarian Universalist Congregation in New York State. Our committee can explain it to you. We have a 5-minute video that is posted on our church website. We have easy forms and instructions. We don't need to know the details of your personal finances. We will be set up in the boardroom after social hour this morning at noon, and again a number of times after church, which we will announce. Please come and talk to us. I'm asking you, person to person, heart to heart. Please come and talk to us, even if you're already a member of our Legacy Society. The Board of Trustees and the Building and Facilities Council also have some visionary ideas for how to use the funds. We're planning to introduce Project Welcome to make the building accessible to all people. This will be the subject of other presentations at other times, not now. I want to end on a note of gratitude to all of you for what you bring here, for what you have left here. You are a powerful force for good, more powerful than you realize. Let's build a future together. Namaste. I see the divine in you.
We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. Free.